I'm the Dissatisfied Gamer, and today I'm gonna do a little review on Dragon Age Origins. It's made by BioWare, produced by EA. It's pretty bad. I won't lie to you there. It's my biggest dislike is the audio. It likes to be crappy, and there are a lot of missing segments of audio in it. It is unforgivable, and to be frank, the gameplay doesn't even come close to making up for it. I would have rather have waited for Mass Effect 2 to come out than to have them waste their time on this pile. Let's see. It starts off as the human noble. Your father is killed by your father's lord, and he's going to help the king. Then he's killed by another lord who isn't going to help the king. And you end up getting drafted into the Grey Wardens. I suppose you were selected before, but you ended up getting taken because they were... the guy was going to kill you and everything. But it's supposed to be the dark fantasy epic from the makers of the Mass Effect. I haven't gotten that far in the game, and I am completely dissatisfied to the point of not wanting to finish it. All the achievements for it are bullshit. They usually, most of them involve having to go through the game 2 or 3 times. I really feel it was just a waste of BioWare's time to have made this game. It is... I'd give it a 5 out of 10, I suppose, maybe a 6. What they should have done, in my opinion, was made it into an MMO, and that might have made it a little bit better, I suppose. But the way they did it, it's just awful. The combat's not very fluid. It almost seems like they were going for a JRPG, and then at the last minute changed it over to something more like The Force Unleashed. Or not The Force Unleashed, KOTOR, Knights of the Old Republic. I don't know, the combat's just not very fluid, and then the audio sucks. You get forced into cutscenes just by approaching certain people, and then the audio, like some of the audio files are missing, or they never got put in or something. I don't know what the hell's wrong. They could have taken at least another couple months to go through the whole game and figure out, what's missing, because when I can find missing audio files within the first 5 minutes of the game, that's pretty ridiculous. Like in that first conversation with the human, or as the human noble, with the other lord, I came to a point where he just stood there for about a minute, didn't say anything, didn't move, and at first I thought my game froze, but then I ended up waiting a little bit and it started going again, so I don't know. It was weird. A multiplayer function would have been really great with this, but BioWare just deemed it not necessary, I suppose. They could have had a 4-player multiplayer and it would have been perfect. It would have been awesome. I would have loved it. But instead they gave us a single-player, slapped-together pile of crap known as Dragon Age Origins. And that's really about all I have to say on the matter. It's pretty straightforward. So then we can just move on, and since I have time left, I'll just do Left 4 Dead 2 in this review as well, since I'm being dissatisfied at the moment. Basically, if you've played Left 4 Dead 1, you've gotten the entire storyline for Left 4 Dead 2. You are 4 survivors trying to make it out of somewhere into somewhere else. The thing that's better about this one is they actually included more guns, which is great. I love the more guns. They included melee weapons, which, what survivor's not going to have the idea to pick up a melee weapon. They got a grenade launcher, which is great, and I've heard people say that you don't get to use it. I've used it multiple times. I don't know where you got your information, but you should just stop spreading it because it's a lie. The downfall is I played a lot of the first one of this, Left 4 Dead, and since it came out so soon, I haven't had any real cooldown time for this one to come out, and what I also really dislike is the cover art is basically just the same. It is like the same picture with a 2, and then they changed it to green instead of whatever or lighter green or yellow or whatever the hell this is. But anyway, you play through the campaign, which they did make a little more interesting. They strung it together, you know, so like you start at the first campaign, and the second campaign is a continuation of that one. So you can kind of start it off however you want. But another thing that I kind of disliked was like how they added in those 2 new specials, I think, or 3 new specials, and then gave them ridiculously stupid abilities, like the jockey jumping on your head. It's literally like a 3-foot tall hunchback. I'm sorry. I don't think that latching onto my head would be too bad. I'd just take my auto shotty and shoot it up through the chin or something. I don't know. But with that, then there's the Charger, which basically reminds me of every southern stereotype ever of a white guy living in this bayou. But and the Spitter, which is just disgusting. They did not need to put that thong hanging out there at all. That was gross, and I really, really hope that they live to regret that. But what pisses me off is like the jockey, supposedly you're supposed to be able to move against it, and that'll knock it off eventually. But the way it moves, it's so random that it's impossible to keep it going in the opposite direction, which makes it hard to knock it off. And I've done it once where I got it to be knocked off in the demo on the PC, but I haven't been able to do it in the 360 version, so I don't know. Overall, if you haven't played Left 4 Dead 1, just skip it completely and go for Left 4 Dead 2. It is way better. But if you've played a lot of Left 4 Dead 1, I do not recommend getting Left 4 Dead 2. It's not a big enough jump to really pique your interest again. It's just like they could have just put it as downloadable content for Left 4 Dead 1, I guess is what I'm trying to say. Overall, it's about an 8 out of 10, I suppose. They didn't really change enough to get any higher than that. It's probably about where I'd put the maximum for a game that's basically just a downloadable content. Next, I'd like to do a little bit of a Darkest of Days, probably the most underrated game of the year. It's about I don't know really how to explain. But you start off as a guy in the Battle of Little Bighorn who wasn't supposed to be there, so you become like an MIA to history, and people from the future come back and save you, so that you can do their dirty work for them, since they don't want to mess with things too much by sending people back that actually matter to history, or they can't take people out of history that actually matter, so they take people that disappear from history. Basically, as far as I've gotten in the game, since I've had a lot of games come out recently that I want to play, you go back in time and you try and fix things in the past that are getting messed up somehow. They don't really explain how it happens, it just does. And the owner of the company that made the time machine apparently disappeared into the past, and no one knows what happened to him. So you're also trying to you're also trying to figure out what happened to him during the game. You end up fighting in a lot of different kind of situations, like in the Civil War and in World War One, or maybe it was World War Two. I think it was World War One, but and it ends up being a fairly interesting game. You know, you get to use all the weapons of the time, and then at times you get the futuristic weapons, which are just like godly. And I haven't beaten the game personally, but one of my friends did. And I don't know, he said that they have a flamethrower in there somewhere that is supposed to be the most amazing flamethrower ever, but I haven't gotten that far yet, so I don't really know for sure. I'd give it a 8, maybe 8.5 out of 10. I really enjoy it, but you know, that's just me. I guess I enjoy a lot of weird games like that. But that's about all I have time for, so until next time.